There is a fifth dimension beyond that which is known to man. It is a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition, and it lies between the pit of man's fears and the summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. Join Ironside and his guests as they take a walk in the Twilight Zone.
Nice opening. That was awesome.
That was good.
Lovely.
Well, hello, chat. I'm glad everybody could come and join us for this stream. It's going to be a good one. So now let me introduce everybody. Got Blair is with us, sir. How are you doing?
Good. Excited about this.
Yeah, me too. And we got the guy doing all the pointing, Nerdporeal. Twilight Nerdporeal.
Twilight Zone-Poreal, excuse me. I'm from Chicago.
Sorry.
I get offended really easily. That's a trigger warning. But you get one chance. That's it. But thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Can't wait. I mean, Twilight Zone's a great series. If there wasn't a Twilight Zone, we wouldn't have Star Trek. We wouldn't have Lost in Space. We wouldn't have Planet of the Apes. We wouldn't have The Outer Limits. And who knows what else? And we wouldn't have other. I mean, the only thing that came before this was Alfred Hitchcock Hour as anthology. Then anthology became so big in the 80s because of this series. I mean, they remade the series twice. They made a movie. Fucked up.
Outer Limits came
sorry.
from this, and
I apologize. I blew it. You said no swearing. I said the F word.
Oh,
because of the accident that happened in the Twilight Zone movie. So sorry,
Yeah.
Jacob.
Yeah, that was
Language!
and Lady Balefire. Hello.
Hey guys, good to be here. Hope you're having a great evening. I'm so excited to be talking about this because when I was in film school, I did a project where we had to we had to pick something out of a hat, and it was a bunch of TV shows and movies and stuff, and then we had to pick another thing out of a hat saying what form you were going to do it, and you had to come up with a new pitch for it. And the thing that I got to do was the Twilight Zone, so I kind of did some deep dives on the production and learned some stuff about it. And I love the Twilight Zone anyway, so I'm just really excited to be here, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad everybody could make it. I planned in advance so I could get everybody on, and it worked out. Okay, so I'm gonna as we go, I'm gonna pull up the video but not play it. I'm just gonna skip to different points, and I'll read some. Also, in our discussion, I'll read some trivia every now and then. So, and there's some really interesting trivia to this episode, so I'm looking forward to it. Okay, let me pull the video up here.
So we're gonna start with the first episode.
Correct. Nice.
I could say the star of this episode is already a sci-fi veteran.
Yes, he was in what was the name of it?
Forbidden Planet.
Right. Forbidden Planet.
Yeah, he was the comic relief. He was the cook. So he would hide silverware. He'd hide a silver tray or something inside his clothes, and the Leslie Nielsen, the captain, and the rest of the men played a joke on him, turning on this giant magnet, and he flies to the magnet and everything, and they're all laughing. He's like, "What are you doing? Put me down now, man."
Yeah, he also gets the robot to make alcohol.
That's right. He's just like, you're such a you're so kind, Robbie. Just let me know if you need any spare parts. I'll take care of you. Don't worry, I'll take care of you. So.
And this actor is still alive too.
Oh, that's cool.
94.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, he is. Henry Earl Holloman is his name.
The last video I saw a video of him that was put up 6 years ago, and he's still pretty sharp too. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. That is awesome to hear.
Yeah, you guys want to do some show and tell really fast? So I was just looking up like the credits for this stuff, and I found that it was actually like the original story was published, I think, in this book actually, which is I found this at thrift shop, and it's like it's Tales from the Twilight Zone. Though the cover of this one says From the Twilight Zone though, but it has Rod Serling on the back, and this might have been like a later publication of it. But I was looking through it, and it's got like, you know, all the classic stuff. It's got The Mighty Casey, Escape Clause, Where's Everybody, Monsters on Maple Street, Walking Distance, etc., etc. But it's like such a cool book, and it's just like kind of a novelization of the whole series and stuff like that. And I think it might have happened before the show. I was just not really sure, so I was looking it up. But it's cool to know that like the way they produced this was so differently, because they like they would write this, do short stories and stuff like that, and then they would go into sort of the development phase with that, and then they make the scripts from it. And I was very interested when I was reading about this, like how it came to be and came into, because it's so iconic, like we were saying, that I really enjoyed learning more about this and just learning the kind of impact that it had on the film industry and stuff. And probably like before we go on into the discussion, because this is just general stuff, I'll mention that in my research I found that Twilight Zone has been one of the most, either like people have tried to want to adapt it or revitalize it, and it did have some revitalizations on the movie and stuff like that, but what's interesting is no one's ever really been able to capture like the original feel of the show. And I was thinking about why when I was getting ready for the show, and you know, it really struck me as the idea between like what makes a story timeless and what makes it like relevant to a modern audience. So we might want to think of that as we go on in the discussion, but I don't want to derail it anymore. So
No, that's all right.
So how many episodes are in that book? Because there's five. There's like over 100 episodes of the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, 118.
There's
119
14.
total?
There's 14 stories in here. So this was actually like looking at the publishing, because I was trying to figure out what it was. This was published in 1960 first, 61, 62.
Okay, so probably season 1, because season 1 I believe was 59.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this probably was a reprint of the original book that they were like talking about. So
Cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, let me go through the chat and say hello to the chat real quick, and then we'll get going. Shelby is here. Good to see her. Glad you could make it. Dempsey, Shieldwall, Abomination AJ.
yeah.
Hey.
Who else we got here? Wakazashi or Gray's here. Cool.
Hey, Gray.
Who else? And Salty is here.
Cool.
Hey. Shield Wall Dragons.
It's
too, I
awesome
see.
because it's all our friends from the chat. That's really cool to see you guys. Blair with his awesome beard.
Thank you.
Melvin just jumped in. Hello there, Melvin.
Hello.
Blair, you just need like a pointy hat and a wooden staff, and you'd be
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Then my ass would be on fire. I'll just say that.
Uh-huh. I might have to do that for future. You know, I'll do a little cloak and
Yeah. One of the blue wizards.
oh yeah. There
Blue
you go.
Wizard. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
The real Gandalf.
Oh,
Shield Wall
no,
likes
that's
my
gonna give
background.
it's gonna give Payne and McKay some stupid ideas now.
Yeah. Let's not do that.
All right.
Alrighty. So there is the man of the hour. Yeah, actually, something about this. The actor was sick during the making of this. He had a 100-degree temperature as they were filming.
That's insane. But like you could kind of see it in his face, and it kind of enhanced his performance. So
Yeah,
it
it
sucks for
does.
him to be sick, but like he's a trooper.
You kind of wonder why like he was sweating so much. Now I know.
Yeah. And this first scene here, where he's walking into town, you can see his breath. So it's cold right now where they were filming it.
Is anyone a fan of black and white like I am?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Like I cannot watch a classic. I cannot watch a classic movie or show that was originally in black and white without
they colorized it and just made a mess of it.
except for Star Trek. I know Star Trek was black and white on some TVs when it came out in the 60s.
Yeah.
I could never watch that in black and white. Never. The color of the original series is what I love.
Yeah, it adds,
Just that
adds
crazy resolution, that crazy
1080 HD
contrast. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, and here he comes walking into town. Going to the cafe.
Yeah, imagine you go into a town and there's nobody there, but yet everything is like ready to be eaten, to be smoked, to be like there was one point where he found like I think a cigarette, like I don't know if it was a cigar or something on an ashtray.
Yeah, cigar. Yeah. Cop shop.
Still smoking.
Yeah. It's just crazy. And what's funny is, like what I mean, I don't want to skip to the point of the episode, but like just the idea of being alone for a very long time. I mean, did this make you think of the movie Castaway? It made me think of Castaway quite a bit. The one with Tom Hanks, he talks to Wilson, his I think it was a soccer ball or volleyball, I forget. But
he talks to imaginary people. Pretty much through the whole episode.
It's funny, you look at the price of that, 75 cents. Shield Wall was even asking, are those gas pumps? Yeah, that's what things looked like back in the day.
That's what it looked like.
I know one of the things that like I liked about this episode is going back to the whole like modern relevant for modern audience episode versus like a timeless like themes and stuff, is that the real theme of this is like loneliness. It's like this guy is wandering around and everything is gone, and it just speaks to everyone on like such a human level that like there's always something like that was I think what made this show so great, is that you could get like there's in every episode there's something everyone could relate to, because it's just universal. And I love the Twilight Zone for it, and I really think that's one reason why like the Twilight Zone has not been able to be adapted, even though there's so many people have been like, we need to do a revival of this or whatever. And
I mean Jordan Peele just tried to revive it a couple years ago on the all powerful, the almighty CBS All Access, now formerly known as that. Now it's Paramount Plus.
Time they did that because they're in the was it Forrest Whitaker?
Yeah, Forrest Whitaker did like the movie, I think.
And then there was the 80s. Then there was the 80s one, which I have not seen. It's not widely available out there yet. So unless you have the DVD or something. Bad. Yeah, and a certain, I have to bring up the certain author who will never finish his fantasy series worked on the 80s Twilight Zone.
He did.
I have to burn George every time, every opportunity.
Well, he deserves it.
Hey, look who's in the chat. Look who decided to show up.
Hey, Steve.
Oh, hello.
Streaming my streaming bro. How come you're late? Love you. I love you, Steve.
Late. That's a good point for Melvin.
Tiger Planet to myself.
You know what that reminds me of? That comment reminds me of that one episode with the guy in the library, and he's just so excited. Everyone's just
I know that one.
Isn't that the name of it? Is the name of it?
I think it's
Time at Last. I think.
Yeah, something like
that.
Yeah, Time Enough at Last. And I didn't realize it for the longest time, but that was Burgess Meredith. That was Mickey the Penguin. And he I mean, that's a popular episode, but I think that he was in an even better episode of The Twilight Zone. And that's the one with the people basically what do you call it? Not nullifying, but making people
obsolete.
That was a great episode. That was such a great episode.
That was so good.
Like that was probably, I think that might have been Burgess Meredith's best performance as an actor. I mean, I haven't seen much with him. I've only seen the Rocky movies. I've seen Batman, and that.
Grumpy Old Men, wasn't he the dad?
Yeah, I think so. I have to admit, I have not seen Grumpy Old Men. My dad was a big fan of both Grumpy and Grumpier Old Men.
Yeah, the jazz music playing in the was like it was played in a bunch of different movies of this time period, the late 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dug the music. What can I say? I love the music. I love this. I love television music of this era. It just stands out compared to.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. 80s when it comes to music. I mean, there was some great music from Next Generation, from Star Trek: The Next Generation, but a lot of it was not memorable.
Yeah, definitely.
Original Star Trek. This series. I mean, the music I hear from Twilight Zone, I swear I've heard on Star Trek. So I'm curious if some of the same composers who worked on Star Trek also worked on this, because it's just very engrossing. It's like you feel like you're in the episode with the actors and the props and everything.
Yeah.
And it just enriches that experience even further.
It does.
Delight to the senses.
Yeah. And he goes into the back of the store hollering, Where's
everybody?
Hello.
the name of the episode. So look, like there's pies. Like I don't know about you guys, but I would just, if everything was prepared for me, there were no people to
I guess I better eat this.
Yeah. Or ice cream is ready. Make yourself an ice cream soda. You might put on some weight, but
Yeah, no matter where he goes, there's always something like that. There's some coffee ready. Or
percolating.
I know, it's so weird too, because it's like, you know what? It's always like everything in these episodes are kind of like make you think of social experiences, and then you're like, how many people would just eat that stuff if no one was there, or would they just be like, no, this isn't it? Like, would I just keep going?
Or would you
test?
Would you make your own food and then pay for it?
Yeah, really.
Exactly.
And you hear the percolator going.
I know. Things we don't ever even see anymore.
Oh yeah, I remember. As a kid, my grandparents had a coffee pot like that.
We had one in our like tent trailer, and we had it in our camping thing before that, and I think we finally got a tea kettle in the RV. So
trying to get it on this shot here. And a lot of these episodes have foreshadowing in them.
Like what kind of foreshadowing? Like for other episodes, or just like
for what happens later in the episode?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's always.
Oh yep, I know what you're talking about.
Like this, he knocks the clock over, and it breaks.
And and at the end of the episode, there's the dial in his little box was broken too.
Tapping it.
And that's the same time exactly as it shows.
Exactly the same time.
Oh, that's good. I did not pick that up. That's awesome.
So the whole time, sense of time is so, bizarre as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we find out how long he was in that box. And it was like a month, I think. Close to a month. By himself.
Yeah.
But he had everything he needed, but he was just completely cut off from people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it kind of like the Truman Show premise? This is the same thing.
Well, kind of, but there's people in the Truman
there,
Show.
Yeah, but it's sort of like the same thing.
Just everything was fake and televised, and he didn't know about it. I think I haven't seen the Truman Show. I've only seen millions of commercials back in the day.
He was in isolation. He was in an isolation pod, all by himself, no human contact.
I thought it was interesting why they did that little experiment.
Yeah,
and this was because of the fact that the space program was really developing. Now this was, I don't think the Mercury mission started yet, right? They didn't start till like 60, I think, or something.
Yeah, this is before. Yeah, it's before the Mercury. The Russians were the big ones then because they had Sputnik. They had Gagarin with the space.
Yeah, and then I remember, like then U.S. and the media had this big freak out, like it was all over every newspaper. Oh my God, this USSR sent Sputnik into space. Yeah. We're all gonna die. They're gonna send missiles and kill us. I'm like, geez, shut up. Like, even as a kid, I was just like, shut up. I mean, why they made such a big deal about it? I mean, come on, seriously.
Yeah, then JFK
feeding into that fear.
Then JFK said, "We're going to the moon."
Yeah, this is even before then.
We ain't doing this because it's easy. We're doing this because it's hard. We're doing it because it's hard. Sorry, I'm trying to channel my inner JFK.
Yeah, I like this part. He says, "You have a paying customer, $250. Have $250." Like, that's big money.
A lot of money back then. Yeah.
I know. You know what's funny too? Sorry, I'm like,
no, sorry.
A lot of things about the Twilight Zone is like, and kind of like sci-fi, especially like in the early 50s and stuff. And like Star Trek, especially, and I think they probably carried it on from like the Twilight Zone, but just sci-fi in general is that there was always this sense that it was like kind of like there was the brilliant view of the future, but then there was also like the cautionary tales. And I think it's probably it's so interesting to see how it all kind of like, as much as this was like kind of universal stories, it was also universal warnings like later on. And then I think the most like modern closest like thing to the Twilight Zone that we got was like Black Mirror. And Black Mirror was definitely like kind of like the Twilight Zone based on like modern technology and stuff. But it's interesting that show, they actually stopped making that show because it was like it was becoming too real. Like everything was coming true. And I was just like, wow, that is really freaking crazy.
Yeah. The semi reboot of X-Files, the newer episodes they kind of had some stuff about COVID before.
Yeah,
COVID.
I know what you're talking about. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
When this show ended, its original run, they talked about it, how it was like there's called a wisdom fiction. A lot of the cautionary tales, and you talk about, the things of man or the human race or this and that.
Yeah.
How we are and how we don't change or how we might have to change in the future.
Do you guys have a favorite episode from this?
Yeah, mine. It's the one where they found they trapped Satan. I think it was called the Screaming Man or the Howling Man.
Yeah.
And he let the guy out because he felt sorry for him. And it turned out it was the devil. And as soon as the devil gets out, he starts up all the wars again. And Vietnam was the one that was coming next.
Oh my gosh.
Because it was between Korea and Vietnam. And
yeah. It's probably the one where that guy, like that woman, like you don't see her face or you don't see anyone's faces. Like the cinematography is so good. And then like, she's just worried. She's like, I got plastic surgery. Like, do you think it'll finally fix me now? And then she takes off all the bandages and she screams. And then it's like, you see, she's like some normal person. And then everyone else has like all those weird, ugly pig faces.
Ooh.
Oh, is that where that? Okay, I haven't seen the episode itself, but I've seen the clip of it.
And they're all pitying her, and this is her last chance. They're going to kill her now because she's such a mutant.
But they have mercy and send her to a place where there's people like you.
What'd you think? What'd you think? Okay, there's a few that I thought were pretty interesting. I mean, there was the one with Vera Miles. If you don't know who Vera Miles is, she was in Psycho, and she was in I think I forget what other Alfred Hitchcock she was in. But there was an episode where she is at a train station and she sees like another version of herself, just kind of like out of the corner of her eye, and then we realize like she is like kind of in the she's kind of like in like I don't know how to explain it, but it's like the idea of an alternate universe where you have alternate forms, just equivalent identical forms with different people. Well, that was an episode that there was that episode.
Yeah, the what do they call it? Doppelganger.
There you go. There was another one that was I swear was a big influence on Planet of the Apes because Rod Serling wrote the initial draft of Planet of the Apes. He adapted the book, but but there were some of his ideas that went into it that went to the final film. Well, there was an episode where Roddy McDowall it plays an astronaut. I think he's with two other guys, and they go to Mars. I think it's Mars, and Mars is filled with humanoids, and the Martians receive them. They don't say much. And then they're like, "Hey, check out this house." He goes into this house. Just looks like a normal, Earth house. And then he tries to get out and the door is locked and there's nothing but bars. Like he figures out he's actually in a zoo.
Yep.
To stay there for the remainder of his life.
People are alike everywhere.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Mr. Roddenberry, got that equivalent idea to do the cage, the original pilot for Steve. You guessed it, Star Trek.
Didn't Gene Roddenberry work on this show?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. He might have written an episode or two. I don't know for sure.
That must be some bitter coffee.
Yeah, he's got that.
Ooh. All right, let's move him into town.
So he goes from one town to the other. So I swear this town right here is the same town, the same lot as Back to the Future.
It is.
It is. It's a Universal Studios lot.
Because I swear I saw I saw anything but the top of the clock tower. The town was exactly the same. It's like, how many times have you seen this? Like, it was in Gremlins, it was in Back to the Future.
It's one of the first times we've seen it though.
It was filmed at Universal Studios using Courthouse Square, and
I'll still say this. Back to the Future is a sequel to Gremlins. They just rebuilt it right away, and there you go.
Yeah. The first scene where he's in the diner, there are so many things that, like the coffee that was put on. I mean, somebody would have had to just put the coffee on for it to come to percolate. And now the bell tower rings here. All these little things that, like, there's somebody here, but there's nobody there. It's great.
Yeah, and he's like, the thing is, what's funny is he has amnesia, so he doesn't know who he is, but he knows some basic rudimentary things, about living,
math, and he had American money,
and he was able to figure out he was in the Air Force at one point.
Yeah. He eventually gets that.
And he's like, what is the Air Force? And he's like, what is the Air Force? But he knew the
funny
words.
Seeing this look like this street, because it's like I so recognize the hills of like Southern California, and just when you think of like what Hollywood is, it's like this is a very meta picture of like this fake town that they built to film movies about fake stories, and then there's this guy wandering around and he's basically in the same thing.
Yeah,
that's why it's on to you.
At several points you see people's reflections, like the crew in the background. It's great. You also see somebody's shadow at one point.
You're just you feel the tension. You're like, is somebody stalking him? Is somebody playing?
Yeah,
with
but
him?
It's all just, the crew getting caught on the camera.
Yeah,
it's great. It adds to it.
Since I'd never seen this one before, I thought maybe he was just like out of time, like he was at some nuclear testing thing, and he got like this, kind of like phased. So he's like walking around in between time, because the coffee pot will turn on when he wasn't looking, or things happen when he isn't looking. That's what I thought at first.
Yep, I totally agree. It's like I didn't realize this one was the first episode.
Yeah.
And then he finally sees somebody.
Oh yeah, he gets excited.
Yeah, that's creepy right there. The mannequin.
Yeah.
He's just talking away to her.
That's so funny. It reminds me of this like Adult Swim kind of show. It was like Meet the Fukons, and it was like the mannequin family that was in like the kind of atomic testing things.
Yeah. That's another thing. Yeah.
I mean, I think this was the scene that made me think of Castaway the most, because he's talking to an inanimate object. But hey, at least she's not a ball. At least she's not freaking Wilson.
The blood stain on it.
Yeah. It's just like sad, because it's like, dude, loneliness is such a difficult feeling to deal with. And I think everyone experiences so much greater now, like being with like the internet and stuff like that, because in a way it's like, it's cool, we're all hanging out here, but we're all by ourselves essentially. So still, that's why this is going to be something that has like a timeless theme instead of versus like modern sensibilities.
Yeah, I think it's built into our very DNA. Just the fact, and the reason why humanity has survived all the years that we've been, that we've existed, is because of our means of creating communities of having companionship, doing stuff, working with other people. I mean, that is a very human thing. To me, what makes stuff timeless, and I'm sure everybody on this panel and in the chat knows this. I mean, the thing that is the most timeless is something that can be really drawn down to the extremely basic human level. Like everybody throughout the years has felt loneliness, has felt, once again, the need for companionship. And I mean, that's something Mr. Serling, wrote very well in all of his episodes that I've seen so far. I have not seen a single bad Twilight Zone episode. Sorry.
Yeah. 50 years from now, people will watch this and still will be able to relate to this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, will they be able to relate to Jordan Peele stuff?
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
And there it is.
The whole modern. That's why I was thinking it, because you see those pillars right there.
Yeah.
The only thing that's missing is the top of the clock there, but the reason why like modernity is so looked down upon by so many people, and I hope that number grows, because all it does is divide. It doesn't bring people together. It just divides and makes us, it just divides people. And that if there's anything that's as unnerdporeal, I'm going to say my name, unnerdporeal. It's creating division through your works of art, through your entertainment. So if there's anything that's an enemy of, I'm going to say Nerdporeal again because I'm just full of myself right now. It's just the idea of just purposefully creating division.
Yeah. Purposely destroying a story,
or something that was timeless, something that, you don't really destroy. I mean, what you do is you don't really destroy the work itself, but you tarnish the legacy, and it may cause people to not want to see the original. So
it does poison the well, doesn't it?
Yeah. So you have the really good stuff at the bottom of the well, and then the stuff above it, the more recent stuff, is poisoned. So is anybody going to stick their hand and try to, give it a chance? And So that's why my channel exists. My channel exists for that reason. I probably should make a video about this now, Nerdporeal mythology. But that's why my channel exists, mainly because of what happened with what's been going on with Star Trek. It was a big deal for me. And now Twilight Zone, almost every property is getting the same treatment. So. And that's why more channels are popping up. That's why, that's why Prophet, that's why Lady Balefire, everybody, that's why we have channels right now.
That's why I'm pointing to older stuff. Because there's, not just 70s, 80s, 90s, 40s and 50s and 60s. There's a ton of good content out there to watch. We don't have to settle for
sometimes in order to look forward, look forward and discover new things for yourself. Sometimes it's necessary to look backwards. So there's a lot more behind us than there is going forward.
Yeah, I've got some, and here the
telephone booth.
Hey kids, remember, you know what a telephone booth is? That's what people used to use to call others. Used to pay money too.
I have some trivia for this too. Let me pull that up. This actually happened to Rod Serling. Sorry.
What, he got caught in a telephone booth once?
Yeah, he was at a airport and got stuck and he heard his they were calling for his airplane and he got stuck. A passerby had to kick the door in.
Those doors, you had to pull them in. You had to pull it toward you to get it open. So if you were panicking trying to get out, you were blocking it basically. And the guy who walked by saw him freaking out. Actually had to kick the door in a little bit so it would open for him so he could get out.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I was never able to see it, but a certain scene here, you see one of the crew's reflection in the glass, but I never could find it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now where is he?
He's in the cop shop.
Cop shop.
He's like, "Hey, I'm a weird character here. Come and arrest me." Just makes me think of Home Alone when he did that.
When he does that, literally the first thing I was thinking of would be calling all cars.
That's so funny.
I gotta do that one day. I just gotta say, calling all cars.
And then he finds it.
There it is.
That cigar, yeah. That's what
There
I was
was
talking
something
earlier.
about this episode that makes you think about something. It's that like there were people or whatever that like left this stuff all out for him. Like who set this up? Like and why? And who would even do that? It's
Yeah, you see the thing almost start to smoke on its own. And that's why I thought maybe he was caught out of time because, it just starts smoking like somebody's lit it,
Somebody was probably standing there smoking it. Okay, action. And he sets it down.
Kind of makes me think now, do you think the cigarette smoking man from the X-Files is based off of Rod Serling?
that's deep. That's
it is.
Deep. Totally. I could see that. I could totally see that.
I like this part.
I like the lighting there. It's like
And through the whole episode, he's also, it's like things are encroaching on him to make him even smaller where he is. Like the phone booth.
Yeah, look at that shadow. In the door, he's like, he's like, you ain't fooling me this time. You ain't closing on me now.
yeah.
Hey, Zax.
Sup, Zax?
Oh, he's
Great
like,
intro.
yeah, here's another shot where you can see a crewman's shadow on the floor.
But the great thing is that, like, even though it's there, it's like you're so involved with the story, you don't notice it, which is like usually like I'll kind of like something like that happens. It's really hard to remove, and it's usually something that doesn't take me out of the story. I won't make a comment about it, but things that like nowadays are so bad, you can't help but notice that stuff. So
Yeah.
Plus, how much detail did the black and white TV in 1959 have? That you probably couldn't even see it,
Yeah.
They didn't think in the future people would have high res Blu-rays stopping
And
zoom
70 inch.
yeah, I know.
70-inch TV screens.
Right there. You see his fingernail.
Look,
Gotcha.
there's a fingernail.
You got the local high school. Yeah, he looks pretty sick in that picture just then.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Don't do that. He goes
Like,
running
where
out.
is everybody?
Where is everybody?
This is the mid commercial break.
Oh, yeah.
I really like the original opening of the Twilight Zone before it went dee 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 dee. Like it was very calm and soothing. Like I could close my eyes. It was very relaxing. But then then season 2 pops up and I hear dee dee dee. I'm like, okay, I cannot relax with this. It's messing with the viewer now.
Yeah, this sets the tone for weirdness.
I want an ice cream soda now.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Coffee soda.
That'd be good.
I've had a coffee flavored milkshake. Those are actually really good.
Yeah, they are.
I like this scene. Uh-oh.
Yeah, he just looks in the mirror and has a full-on conversation
With himself.
You look familiar. Oddly familiar.
I think at one point he thinks he's asleep. I think at one point he realizes he thinks he's dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that at the diner, he's got the cup of coffee and he's saying, I know I'm going to wake up soon. So.
And I like how here he's quoting Ebenezer Scrooge. He's quoting Charles Dickens right here.
Just a bit of
undigested beef.
Yeah, talking about Marley's ghost and everything.
Yeah,
something more gravy than grave about you. That's pretty good.
It also reminds me of It's a Wonderful Life. He gets chocolate ice cream.
Oh, that movie like tears me up. I can't watch it at Christmas. It's so depressing for me.
It is. But the ending
What?
is
It's a Wonderful Life?
Yeah, it's like just I mean, it's not like it's like I mean, ultimately has like an uplifting message, but like if you're someone that has like depression and the holidays are already crap for you and they're keep playing that movie and it's like stop, like you're not making it better.
Yeah, the beginning of It's a Wonderful Life when he's a kid in the
that's
ice cream shop. That was messed. That's
the books on this
effed
one.
up.
Yeah.
Like there was because it was 1919. There was the influenza pandemic, and the owner of the shop.
Look on the right, you guys. It says The Last Man on Earth, which is like the
right.
Now,
and then right in between that book it says like sorry, wrong number. It's just I think isn't that what it does their episodes?
Yeah, it's a sorry, wrong number. Oh jeez, I can't see.
Yeah, he was the author of that book is was one of the writers for Twilight Zone.
Richard Matheson. A lot of his stuff was big.
Yeah, and they renamed the book to I Am Legend. Right?
Oh yeah.
Omega Man.
So
I think there was a movie called The Last Man on Earth.
This
too.
is kind of back this episode. This episode is kind of lightly based on that story. Because
Vincent Price did the first one.
You have the mannequins, he's talking to the mannequins, and
I can never forgive the Will Smith one. They killed the dog. How do you kill the dog?
How dare you?
Well, that happened in the book.
You never kill kids or dogs.
Yep.
I like this because it's an example of an Easter egg but it's like a legitimate Easter egg. It's not like nowadays it'll be like, oh, we're gonna put an Easter egg and it's the only actual lore from whatever stuff we're adapting.
Yeah. Yeah, the show that broke both those rules, not to kill a kid or a dog, does it in the same scene. Jaws. Remember, he eats.
That's true. That's so true.
He eats the dog, then the kid.
Yeah, the dog is implied. Nobody really reacts to the dog. It's the kid. I mean, because it happens to the kid. So when I had my stream with Pips, I think we pointed that out. Nobody said anything about the dog because they're like, what dog? Like I forgot the dog's name, but where are you? And then nobody said anything after that.
Hey, isn't it weird how he doesn't go in anybody's house?
The dog's name is Pip.
That is weird. It's like the whole social contract thing. It's like, even if no one was looking, are you still going to be like good or are you not?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is where it starts to go a little crazy. He's sitting on a park bench and all the lights in the square start flashing all over the place.
It's also interesting. He goes into the theater and he hears a movie. I think he hears a movie coming. He's like, hey, who's in there? Like he reacts right away. Like he wastes no time.
Yeah.
With Rock Hudson and like Matthew Hire.
I think it's Martha.
Or Martha. Oh, okay. Yeah. I can't see him.
Before we learned who Rock prefers, but not that there's anything wrong with that. It's a shame. It's shame he's one of the earliest people that got hit with with AIDS and all that.
Yeah.
But look, it's a picture of him on the.
It is. That's crazy.
That is creepy. Like, whoa, what is this?
That's how he figures out
he's in the Air Force. Yeah. See, I'd go on a bender. Drink everybody else's booze and sleep in their beds.
This makes you think of like it is like I love the Twilight Zone because you could watch it and you just think about stuff. It's like think about the loneliness here, and it's like we really are like how we define like so a lot of who we are is our like relationships with other people and how we define ourselves against other people. So if there was nothing there, like who would you even be? So
you'd be like an animal,
Yeah, I mean, what would be what would be considered moral if there's no people around? Like, you can't steal from anybody, you can't kill anybody, you can't harm anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, what is there
about the Twilight Zone? I miss the episodic show.
Oh yeah, that's something that's definitely gone the way of the world.
Everybody's doing a full-on story through the entire season.
Yeah, they do. Everything is so serialized now. Not like really. That was a shift that probably happened like about 10 years or so ago. It's like you will not see anything that's just episodic, except like maybe like procedural shows like Law and Order or something. But
or the Orville. But even serialized stuff that comes out now is crap. Like they just pad every. I mean, great example. The greatest adaptation of all time, Wheel of Prime on Amazon. Like all they do is pad. They ignore source material and they pad out episodes with like therapy sessions. Like once again, the typical feelings and hallways thing that was started by bigger, better YouTubers. But it's true. And then if there's like a plot point or something they want to hook you, they will have they'll have 45 minutes of therapy session. And then like a couple minutes of an attempt to draw you into the next episode, a cliffhanger of sorts, so a big reveal at the end. But the thing is, nowadays they don't even freaking do that anymore. They just think that fans are gonna eat it because it's based off of a existing property, and they have this entitlement that they think they can just because they have the rights to make it, they're gonna simply have the entire fan base. And if somebody doesn't like it, like let's say certain White Cloaks, or Prophet or Salty, then they're you can just blame the fan. You can just blame the fans and make themselves sound better. Which is
it's also their chance to fix it.
Yeah, like there's anything wrong with it. But here's something interesting about like episodic that maybe to think about, that maybe they're not doing episodic television, because like when you're doing like a long form television series and say like the typical streaming model, 8 episodes, and you kind of have the overarching plot arcs that go through the whole episode run. You have like the mid plots in the episode plots, and it takes a lot of planning to execute it well. But take, say, episodic TV, where it's like you can establish a world where people like have roles, or you could do something entirely different where it's just vignettes, like in Twilight Zone. But like in an episodic, I don't think there's almost as much room for mistakes. So maybe the fact that there isn't a lot of episodic television nowadays is why like we don't see is because like the quality of writing is not what it used to be, because they know if they just had one episode to tell a story and they couldn't do it very competently, that it wouldn't be as successful.
And another thing, the episodic, you're more likely to have mess ups. Like, but all the people that knew how to do that are gone. We don't have those people.
Or they got ran off or
worked at it like it was a art form.
I mean,
it is an art form.
Yeah, like I said earlier, you had Mr. Roddenberry, you had the Star Trek, writers and producers rewrite episodes that were submitted by other science fiction writers who weren't as familiar with with Star Trek's Bible, it's television Bible. So there were points where even the episode Spacey, the one where that we meet Khan, like that went through like at least 7 or 8 different iterations. And I mean, the name Khan came from Mr. Roddenberry himself. It wasn't the original teleplay writer, Kerry Wilbur. So yeah. And like the thing is they're structured. I mean, episodic shows are structured. Like there's a beginning, middle, and end, or maybe they do the 5-act structure, which was prevalent in the original series. But even anime shows like that are serialized that I used to watch when I was younger, even those had build up. Like they didn't just have fluff. They built stuff up, and if an episode had to end on a cliffhanger, it felt satisfying the fact with all the buildup that they did to earn that cliffhanger. Now they just throw in cliffhangers like it's like it's shoe polish.
Yeah,
like they don't build up to anything. They just they just pad it out, and then remember Q? For like a good example, New Trek season 2. Like They build it up, they build it up, and or they don't build it up. They just have all this stuff, and all of a sudden Q shows up, and that's the end of the episode. Like seriously, you wait till the end of the episode to reveal somebody. Like it was kind of like a messy trick, like with TNG Unification Part 1. You don't see Spock until the very end of the episode, and that was, his reveal was what did that. But Part 2 more than made up for it. And Part 1 had Sarek anyway, so Part 1 was great too. So. I know I'm kind of going out. I'm kind of derailing this right now. So.
And a lot of these writers had decades of experience.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't brand new people. This is their first show. They're now the main writer. You know, they put their time in the writing room for years before they finally got to the level where they're at. And you don't have that anymore.
No. And here the movie starts playing, and he goes and looks in the booth here, which would actually blind you if you
definitely. I used to work in a movie theater, and like the projection stuff is like you go up there and try to get it that way. That's
he just starts going nuts. He starts losing it. He runs into a mirror. That took me by surprise yesterday when I was watching it. He just runs into a mirror. You're like, oh my gosh, what is real and what is not? And then he just freaking runs outside, and he goes up to a button. He goes up to a walk button outside. Look at this visual right here. Like things are kind of getting a little, you know, you're seeing it from below.
The pace of the edits and stuff, and this is interesting because this is kind of not a great example of a Dutch angle, but like it's like it is that, and like you go from like kind of stable like long shots, like wide shots, that kind of stuff, and then they start getting to faster pace cutting and to changing the camera angles. That's really interesting.
He's very frantic. He's running into stuff, starts getting hurt.
And he's just freaking out. He cracked.
Yeah.
The eye. This was creepy. This is pre-Psycho. This is before Psycho.
Well, you know what was the big thing that was in this? It was in the Great Gatsby story a lot. Like there was this optometrist sign that like they would drive by all the time into their special world, and it always felt like it was some kind of judging eye. Or like the all-seeing eye. I mean, this is literally about like people doing an experiment on this guy, trying to see what would happen. And
he talks about he has a feeling that he's being watched all the time too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
well, he was.
And then the reveal.
And then you see a few familiar faces coming up, and the head, you know, right there in the middle. That's James Gregory. Yeah. And once again, I have to bring up he was in Star Trek. He was in Dagger of the Mind.
Star Trek.
That's right. Yeah, he was Dr. Adams. He was the bad guy. He was the evil scientist in charge of the penal colony that was kind of brainwashing inmates, making them, you know, subservient and, as they say, easily suggestible.
Yeah.
And there's the clock again.
Yep, there's the clock.
At the same time as it was when he was in the diner.
Yeah.
So, you know, in reality, a few seconds have gone by, but in his mind, it's been hours.
I read something about dreams. Dreams, it feels like it's, you know, goes on for hours, but it's like just a few seconds. So.
And he was in that box. He was in that. He was in that. I don't know if there was meant to be sensory deprivation, kind of like, you know, in, you know, your Stranger Things or in your altered states, you know.
It was like 20 days or something. He was in this box.
Yeah.
I wonder if he was devoid of like all of his senses, like, you know, sight, hearing, and everything.
No, he would have not have lasted that long.
No, probably not. Like, I mean, because you still have to eat. You still have to.
The head guy is like talking to the media and saying, you know, we can give him microfilm for reading and movies, and we can give them, you know, food.
But it's only like a 5 foot by 5 foot box. Like you have little freedom to like do anything else other than maybe you might be able to stand up, you might be able to move a little bit, but not go anywhere far. And he was in there for 484 hours, which is equivalent to 3 weeks, maybe a little under 3 weeks. It's crazy.
Oh my God.
Which is what people thought that's how long it took to get to the moon.
Yeah, they really had no idea. So this is like very well within the realm of possibility that they would have done an experiment like this.
Yeah, this was so interesting that to hear the reason for that. Just like the idea that they're going, they're sending a man up to the moon. This was, I mean, Mercury would have been one man. Mercury was probably in this, I don't know, final stages at this point. So there's one man going up by himself, possibly to the moon. He's going to be alone. He's going to be alone in a very enclosed, capsule. And that's why they did this. I mean, that's why they did this. They wanted to see how long it was experimental. How long would he last before he, cracked?
It is kind of scary though, because you think about like the framing of this situation and maybe the ethics of it too. Because it's like you have these government guys, and like we don't know. All we're seeing is his point of view. So you're looking at like this guy, and we don't know if he volunteered for this or what. Like he just,
I think he did.
He did, yeah.
I think he did.
But like you really start thinking about the ethics of it and the kind of things that they're willing to do to somebody, and then you wonder like, what would the government do to us? How far would they go to?
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, like how far would they go to like get whatever, like the moon or whatever they want, and then you just think like nowadays, like this is why it's timeless, not in terms of like certain area. It's like they didn't really go hard on the like the Cold War or like space race or anything like that. They just went on with this idea that really lasts because we can look at our own lives and say like, well, like you could almost think this is kind of how you felt during lockdowns. And it's like, you couldn't leave, you're trapped everywhere. And how long was it before we all started going crazy? So
NASA during the lockdowns was doing this with people.
Really? I did not know that.
It was people volunteered for it, but they were just regular civilians. They would get like 4 or 5 people and put them in a house together, or a small house together, and see what it did.
Being around certain people for an extended period of time would drive anybody nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Heck, if my best friend stayed with me for like a couple weeks and never leaving my sight, they hate me. They hate me by the time it was over. See all my great habits and everything.
Yeah, there was an alternate. What's his name? Sorry. The actor.
Earl
Holman.
Yeah, Earl Holliman.
Right? Holliman.
His character's name is Mike Ferris.
Yeah.
In this episode,
he talked with Serling and said maybe I forget what it was, a newspaper or something would fall out of his
from the
pocket,
phone book.
From the phone book.
He
He wanted to rip out the piece, but then that would later fall out so he was actually some other place.
This is the only episode that did not have any supernatural overtones.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
This is a full on like straight science experiment thing.
Yeah, this is like the Black Mirror Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah, I like that mix. I like that shake up. You have your more science fiction based, and then you have your more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't want to say fantasy, but
there's like fantasy ones though. Wouldn't you think like the one where there are all these people and they're like trapped somewhere, and then you figure out their toys in the like donation box?
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorites.
They had the one with Jack Klugman. It's very science fiction where they're going to a planet and it looks like they crashed and they're dead and they're ghosts.
Oh yeah, that would.
They're trying to go to heaven, and this one commander is like has a will of iron. It's like, no, we must fight the aliens. And
I don't remember.
Yeah, I remember that. They were like their plane crashed or something, and he was like, "We're gonna get rescued. We're gonna get rescued." Like, no, we can just leave, bro.
Remember the one with the?
Also, I like the one with the guys rob a gold bank. They have the big gold bars, and they put themselves in suspended animation. And they get out hundreds of years later, and gold is worthless.
Yeah, all these people die. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is he dragging all this gold for?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like the one with the town. I like the one where the town goes bonkers. Like they're just paranoia. There's like a simple 50s suburban town.
Yeah,
everybody just goes freaking nuts.
Dude,
Everybody paranoia goes rampant.
It's so good.
Yeah, that is so
and
good.
I have a fun story about this. So my mom used to teach she was a teacher's aide in a special ed class. And every so often, like her, the teacher that taught the class would go out and they're like, okay, watching movies, or they would just watch the Twilight Zone sometimes just to talk about it. And they always showed that one. And it is so interesting over the years seeing how kids reacted to it and what they thought. Cause it's like, oh dang, this is like it's a good lesson for like kids that are at that age, because it makes them think about like maybe what they're doing and is it the rational thing, are we just going along with the crowd because that's what everyone says. And yeah, that's got to be like one of my favorite ones too.
Yeah.
And that one's not particularly one that's either like it's not supernatural either. It's just like something happens and it's basically like a blackout. Nobody knows what causes it and everyone kind of loses their crap.
Yeah.
Isn't it the one at the very end? It turns out it is aliens.
Yeah, doing
and they're
tests.
talking, and they're like, we don't have to invade this planet.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing. That's the great part. Even the aliens are there. It's like we don't have to do anything. They'll just do it for us.
And
which is like
the little boy in it that has the comic book, and he's telling him this is what aliens do. It in Back to the Future. Remember where Marty goes? He's in that biohazard suit, and the little
Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan.
Yeah,
freaks out the guy, the farmer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
and the farmer's kid has a comic book. It's him.
My pine, why you space bastard? You killed my pine. That was great.
Yeah, and there's the box. And the dialogue. Rod Serling, his dialogue too is good. The what is it? It's out there waiting for us. The being alone in space.
Yeah,
it's great.
This is a decade before they got to the moon.
Yeah,
69. I like how Ferris is like, he looks up at the moon. He's like, don't go away up there. We'll be up there in a little while. We'll be up there in a little while.
We'll be there. I love the narrative device of the show too, with the narration, and like it's usually the start and the end, but they also like come in the middle too and stuff like that in some of the other episodes. But that's really good, and I think it helps with the serialization. So it's like you're watching a different story, but you're going in the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, I mean, it sets it up. I mean, like, Serling really is not just his writer, but as like, the host of the series. He sets it up really well with he just sets it up well every episode well.
He wasn't going to do it to begin with. They were going to have a different person to do it.
Yeah,
he wanted too much money. No, he was too busy. Got pulled away. Then they wanted Orson Welles. He wanted too much money.
Right.
So they had. I think he just volunteered and said, "Can I? Maybe I should just do it." Like, all right.
He's right. He just runs the show. He created the show.
Nobody was sure about it. Nobody was sure about him doing it, and it just worked.
That was back in the day when a writer wrote and director directed and actor acted, and you stayed in your little lane. That was it.
Yeah, you don't tell a cinematographer what to do. You don't tell him his business. How dare you tell? Like, I don't know if you know, in Star Wars, George Lucas had some issues with the British. I forget who the cinematographer was for Star Wars. But he's like, you don't tell me. He's like, you literally told him, you don't tell me my business. Just tell me what you want, and I'll do it. Second one, this was a great. This was a more wholesome episode.
I really like this episode. I think this was one of the episodes that I thought when I in my prospectus to remake this was one that I thought should be remade. That could be remade with like a modern like take on it in some way.
It'd be problematic now because kids and old men.
That was a creepy.
That's not a problem.
That's a modern issue now.
That's a modern. Back then, it was very innocent.
Now, you can't have.
Yeah, now it's been ruined.
You can't have death as a man. You have to sex change and make it a woman death.
Yeah, but I was considered of just telling the story, and I wanted to make it like you could add, like if I was gonna my really modern retelling of this was to be kind of going a little harder on like the consumerism angle of it.
Yeah.
Dempsey said the last episode is 0 of 10. No female lead, no spy beam, no bait and switch or mystery box. He just not having it.
Hey,
there's actual mystery here.
Oh, and the Nosferatu is here too.
Hey, Nos.
Yeah, I summoned him. I think.
Good,
I think I did. I don't know.
It's a nighttime. It's the right time for him.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah, and this is what's good about episodic shows. They do a completely different flip to something completely different. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Haha.
Robbie the robot.
The peddler.
Toy right off the bat.
I just love how Death here, and I think this is hilarious, just takes the form of like an auditor. He's like an auditor.
Yeah, right.
Just completely unlikable, completely, business, doesn't have a conscience, of course, I mean, if you're gonna think of, if you wanted to have a modern take on Death, that would be perfect. That would be the perfect thing.
Yeah.
He's taking thorough notes. He has everything organized. I mean, like seriously, like he's a freaking accountant, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it's time to get this old fella out of the way. And
he's like, "Oh, you're gonna be, you're gonna depart." He's like, "What do you mean I'm gonna depart?"
Yeah, you're gonna depart peacefully in your sleep.
And then he tells the little girl, pays him a visit in his apartment, which would never happen today.
Right.
And she's just, he's like, say, be polite, say goodbye to the man. He's like, what man? Oh, you're playing a game with me, aren't you, Mr. I forget his name, Mr. Bookman. This is before Officer Bookman from Seinfeld. I think Bookman. So
it's so different too, because it's like the way of like you buy and sell things, like the idea of like a traveling salesman. It kind of reminds you of like the peddler incident Nerdporeal.
Yeah.
In real time, Pat and Fane. Everyone's all, ooh, a peddler, ooh, ugly man. But like, it's so different because like that was so normalized then. It's like so weird now. We can't hardly even conceive of it. Yet we still understand and appreciate the story.
If you still go to a mall, inside the mall, they have those little shop things in the middle of the mall.
Yeah.
Little stores like the cell phone places. It kind of reminds me of that, but they didn't have malls. So he was just on a street corner with his little suitcase display.
Yeah, they're in Sam's. There's Sam's Club. They're people peddling.
Yeah.
Here,
they do that at Costco too. Yeah.
And he's friends with all the little kids in the neighborhood.
Yeah, this is so like all these kids like him. He's very friendly with them. He's very nice. He doesn't treat them like typical adults did in the 50s. If a kid did something, you'd side with the adult. That was back then. Nowadays, too many adults are siding with too many kids. And the thing is, kids, I mean, there are times where you have to be careful. Who you're going to side with.
What's interesting with this too is that when I watched this, it was like I always wondered, did he genuinely like the kids, or was he just pretending to like them so he could sell stuff? And
I don't think he was selling them stuff. He was just, he didn't have any kids. He didn't have any kids himself. He didn't have a family. So he kind of, I think what he did was the fact that he was alone, I think he just kind of learned to appreciate, the kids, around him.
Yeah.
And plus he's probably never been a parent, so he probably doesn't even know how to discipline anyways, but that's, who knows? What's funny is I think that's Ed Wynn, the actor right there. His son was in a later episode. His son was, I think, in the last episode of the season. Keenan Wynn. And I saw that one. I think that's the one where he writes something in a book and then it happens.
Death Note.
Oh yeah, right. That's right. That was a good one.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I think even Serling shows up in the episode. They talk to him. They actually talk to him like he's in the episode.
Yeah. I was looking at trivia, and there's a poster in the background of Cinderella. I think it was the cartoon. The Disney Cinderella.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious. Is that supposed to be Toto? Is that supposed to be the portrait of Toto?
I think it's just a
not the band
dog. I think it's just a dog.
Just a dog.
Little Scotty dog.
Now I got the song Africa stuck in my head because I said Toto. I guess it rains down in Africa. Okay.
I like how he just appears in
his little chair thing.
You know who Edwin kind of reminds me of in this picture right here. He kind of reminds me of a friendly Fred Mertz. Doesn't he? He kind of has that Fred Mertz look. Same age, roughly same age, same, bald, same look, little pot belly and everything.
Yeah.
He got, but a jerk like Fred is.
I think the actor who played Mr. Bookman died not too long after this episode too.
Let me see. I got the let's see, Edwin. When did he pass? He passed away a few years later, 66, according to the reliable Wikipedia.
Because of in this episode, because of his age, they filmed the night scenes in the daytime.
Yeah, that's right.
Day to night. Yep, that's what that effect is called. And back in the day, they used like glass
I hate
things you could put over the camera. It looks better when they did it back in the day. Like when they do it nowadays, it looks so bad. We did in House of the Dragon, and it's just like with color grading.
They don't know how to do it.
Yeah, he was 73 years old when they filmed this. So he was older than his character. Like his character, I believe, was 69. The actor was actually older than his character.
Wow. And he did a pretty good job too. Something about it sounded like they put something over the set, the top of, like, in between buildings to make it look dark.
Yeah, tarp.
Yeah, tarp. Yeah,
so they can make it look like a night scene.
Yeah. It's great.
I miss practical effects.
Yeah, me too.
Shidwell makes a comment about he's the inspiration for the Sugar King in Wreck-It Ralph. That voice, I remember that voice from now. He's got that kind of like whimsy, kind of funny voice. That was kind of bothering me. I didn't know why I knew that voice from somewhere. And thank you, Shieldwall.
I like how he turns his back on Death, and
he can care less.
Death gets up and walks to a different part of the room, and he turns around and he's gone. He looks up at the ceiling, and it's great.
Yeah, I think the interesting, like, the scenario in this one is really interesting just because there's been so many other movies about it. It's like Meet Joe Black is like this, and everyone's always trying to cheat Death. And
there's another episode where this lady is afraid to go out because of everybody, and because she doesn't know what Death will look like. And then this policeman gets injured, and it's a young Robert Redford, and it's and he's Death. It's great. That's a good one.
Well, yeah, like, wasn't it like Brad Pitt and Meet Joe Black?
Oh yeah, that's right.
And she's just like, please don't kill my dad. Please don't take me. And then he ends out. He's all like, well, he comes back, and he's like an IRS agent because there's only two things certain in life, right? Death and taxes. Yeah.
And she's looking at there's nobody over there, Lou. Are you losing it, Lou?
Like,
Yeah, she can't say that to an adult, so all she could say is, "Oh, you're pretending, aren't you?"
Yeah.
Yeah, you accusing it back then. You accuse an adult of of something.
Especially an elder person.
Yeah, back in the day when beating your kids or beating kids, normal.
Yeah, get a spanking.
Good, them good old days.
You get a spanking at school, then you go home and get another
soap in the
spanking.
mouth if you swear.
I remember those days. Look how I turned out. Oh my goodness.
I love how he tries to get out of this. Like he's like, okay, what can I do? He's like, and then the guy, and then the death or whatever his name is, it's like, there's 3 ways to appeal, but you're not gonna do it. He's like, well, what is it? Well, I think one of them was he's like, you have to have a family. Doesn't have a family, so can't do that. The other one was, I believe, I don't remember what the second one was.
A great invention or a great thing for mankind. You're needed by the
you haven't
world.
done yet.
Yeah, that was the third one. So he kind of plays upon, he was like, what do you have? What's your unfinished business? It has to be something you've longed for a very long time. He's like, well, I've always wanted to make this great pitch. I've always wanted to have this great pitch, a pitch that would, open up the sky, pitch of the angels, or I forget how he puts it. One for the angels, one for the angels. Name of the episode.
Yeah, I love that part of it because it's like it's almost like made me really think of the television and film world because that's always what you're waiting for. Like, you got to make that one great pitch, and everyone is just like, once I sell my idea or whatever, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have, but the thing is, unlike modern writing, Death or whatever his name is would be like, okay, done, and then yeah. But no, he wasn't stupid. Like this character wasn't. So he's like, oh wait, when are you going to do this pitch? Oh, it may take a couple years. So, and then he he does the Archie Bunker and Homer Simpson slams the door on his face.
And I love it. Every he's going down the steps and every landing, Death appears in front of him.
Yeah, and he's just like, you made your bed, now you got to sleep in it. And he's like, well, it doesn't quite work that way, because of this, I'm going to have to make alternate plans. And what happens? Well, that same little girl gets hit by a car. Or by
Supernatural, the show Supernatural.
Yeah,
they had Death in an episode, and it was kind of like this. Death wanted Dean to make a choice and kill somebody. He wouldn't do it, so Death ended up having to kill somebody else.
I think I've noticed about I haven't watched Supernatural in its entirety, but I looked at the episodes and like they really like they borrowed a lot from older pop culture, like older shows and everything. Like they borrowed heavily. But then again, how else are you going to make a successful show for 15 seasons?
Yeah, really.
I read a really cool short story that was kind of like the same premise where this guy he met this sort of supernatural being that's like, it's like, I have to shoot you in the heart. And he just says that. And so the guy meets you have to kill me. And they're talking at a bar and he kind of befriends the guy that has to shoot him in the heart. And he's like, you don't want to do this. And it's kind of like the same thing where he's making a pitch. But this guy is just kind of fat middle-aged man. And he's like, I don't have the greatest life, but I still want to, keep going. And it's funny because it's like, he keeps assuming he's gonna die and stuff, and there's this woman that he's really interested in that plays at his trivia night all the time, and he's always wanting to make a move on her, and he's like, no, I have to shoot you in the heart, you don't understand. And it's funny because it's kind of like a take on the same story, and then in the end he does end up getting shot in the heart, but he doesn't actually die. And then it turns out the heart surgeon that saves his life is his trivia partner, and they end up together in the end. So
that's funny.
It was a good story.
Right.
Yeah, now the little girl sees Death.
Yep. And then right after that, he's just like, no. He's like, no, take me. I'll take me right now. Take me right. He's like, no, sorry, doesn't work that way. Yeah. And this is where I was just like, wow, okay. I mean,
it's kind of interesting because you think about people and how like maybe they're not just evil. Like people are generally good, I think, but like I think people are very self-absorbed. So it's like if you had something like this kind of a situation, I think everyone's going to say no, do it to somebody else. But then when the cows come home, when you have to lay in the bed you made, it's like people are like,
yeah,
wait, I wish I never would have done that, which makes you go back and think maybe I shouldn't be so like self-centered and like focused on my own little sphere of influence or whatever. Like it just makes you think.
Then the child's involved too, and the episode really does a good job of setting that up. Like I can believe that he's doing this because of how he is with the kids, how the kids like him and how he treats them. See, it's stuff like that that makes us care about this character. And that's why episodes like this are far better than shows written now, like Wheel of Prime, which I'm unfortunately have 3 more episodes left.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm
derailing. I'm derailing this right now. I'm sorry, I'm derailing your stream, Jacob.
And nothing makes you think anymore. All these, shows that are, we got to have all the certain people, of these disenfranchised groups, and
let's go back to the story.
There's no substance of anything anymore.
It's about the message.
Yeah, the message.
I mean, you could put in message. I mean, the Twilight Zone, Star Trek back then were heavily allegorical, but the thing is, they served the story. They drove the story forward. What's going on here? The dialogue that they're spewing, that Mr. Wynn and the little girl and Mr. Death right here, Mr. Auditor Death. I mean, I don't know what's worse, being an auditor or death, but they're talking about stuff that is relevant, that serves the story, that engages my interest. Like I was listening like this, and this instead of like this. So I mean, that tells you the quality. Once again, I know it tells you the quality of this writing. And this is just great. Like there's great chemistry here. This is great acting from both of these actors.
Yeah. And I like that Death is like new to the whole, the pitch,
Yeah. It was working. I was like,
he just starts in on him and just grabs him.
Now, the one thing I'll say that kind of I did not quite buy, but then again, this is early Twilight Zone. Because they establish him, he's deaf and everything, and based on what you said, he has limited experience with this. I thought it was the other way around. I thought he would be really much harder to convince.
Yeah,
because he's deaf. He's been around for a year. He's been around
That's kind of interesting though, because like if you think about that, it makes me think of this this one of the earliest operas that was ever written. It was a story of Orpheus and Eurydice. And that was like basically that opera it's a story that focused on the power of song, and the opera it was kind of a meta commentary on the power of music, and it was selling opera as a genre because it was a new genre at the time, and they didn't think that's something that could happen. And it kind of remembers like seeing this, it kind of it gives me the same thematic idea. Like here is a guy, he's an advertising guy, and he's making a pitch to death, and like I don't know if he's just never seen it, but this is also like this age of like where this is going into the like first golden age of television, when television was just coming to its own as a broadcast medium. And then you have the rise of advertising, which is really what the programs and stuff were created to be, was like a vehicle for advertising, really. And so like it's kind of almost like a meta commentary on that in the same way. And that's kind of interesting to think about.
Yeah. And I love at the end of these, they keep the old ad in the original. They keep it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, like he's telling him, this is the strongest thread in the world. I only have a small supply of it. He's like goes into these tall tales of these products. It's great.
Yeah, it's cool because it's like he does the whole storytelling thing too. So
yeah. And then
he looks kind of like he's drunk or something. He looks
he's
getting too much to drink.
Got all these ties and Unbreakable thread.
He's like, I'll buy it. I'll buy it.
I'll buy it all.
I'll take all of it.
I was expecting
Take my money right now.
I was expecting Edwin to take out a bottle and say, "It's green." Get it, Scotty? Star Trek.
You're the Star Trek.
What?
I like Star Trek too. It's just funny. It's like you don't get many like Star Trek nerds.
No, it's a very niche. It's a very niche thing, and it wouldn't have existed if it wasn't for this show. I mean, after watching just a single season of this, like the influences are over the.
That's a good point, Dempsey. Thread is very symbolic in older stories, like the Thread. I mean, think of it like we're going back to Wheel of Time and like the weaving of fate, and like how many other like mythologies use like thread to represent your life. So if he's setting of like some unbreakable thread, there's like thematic element there. That's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dempsey.
That's a good point. Thanks, Dempsey.
Dempsey's the man.
And then the little girl wakes up.
Yeah, that was great. So he managed to what do you call it, to distract him to the point where he missed his meeting to take the girl to make the girl depart with him.
Yeah.
And the guy literally made the pitch for the Angels.
Yeah, he made the pitch. He did what he said he was going to do, and he's like, I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's go. And it was just, I mean, it's sad because the old man's going to be departing, but it's just a wholesome ending because he did it to save a little girl's life. How can you not like that? How can you not find that wholesome? Like that's one of the ultimate things you can do to lay down your life to help to save someone else.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, in Christian, I mean, I'm sure, I don't know if it's in other religions, but it's the ultimate form of love in Christianity.
To give your life for your friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of a good thing because it is kind of like, we were talking about It's a Wonderful Life. It's kind of the thing too. It's like the whole kind of looking back. It's like, what is really at stake here? And he kind of realizes that.
Mm-hmm.
Sax wants pancakes.
Everyone wants pancakes. What's with the pancakes? I thought it was about donuts. Like what?
Well, maybe because I don't see Steve. Maybe the Donut Lord left.
Steve is the Donut Lord.
Yeah, Donut King, the prophet of the donut. I mean,
maybe Zach is the pancake king.
You know what's up? I'm surprised you haven't mentioned yet, Nerdporeal. That episode that William Shatner's in. On the airplane.
Yeah. I mean, he did, but we're not talking about that one. But you know what's funny? I think John Lithgow one. I think the remake with John Lithgow in the movie was even better.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I've seen somebody clipped together the old and the new. So it's William Shatner, but with the newer Gremlin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
That one was just the movie version was just crazy. It was just nuts. Yeah. Like he gets pulled out. He gets pulled out of the plane in that one. Like, how would he be alive? Who knows? It's a Twilight Zone. Not everything makes sense in the Twilight Zone.
Just follow the story.
Exactly.
I've actually heard that somebody accidentally got there was a malfunction with the window and a woman got sucked out, and they had to, go below, or they had to drop in height so she would be able to breathe. And there were people holding on to her in the airplane.
I read a crazy story like that where a freaking plane windshield broke out and the pilot got sucked out. And they thought the guy died, and they were trying to hold his body so they could at least bring it back. But then it ended up, because of the extreme cold and the lack of oxygen, as he kind of went into shock, and then they came back. They actually saved the guy's life.
Oh, that's
he survived.
That's crazy. Jeez.
Very crazy.
But yeah, this is a solid, in my opinion, solid 2 episodes.
Oh,
maybe want to watch the whole first season. But then I canceled my Netflix account and I couldn't watch anymore for a while. So
well, there is a place you can watch it for free. It's got
Pluto.
No, not Pluto. It was something else. What was it?
That's how I watched these 2.
Okay.
I just get it from the library.
Because stupid Paramount Plus. Not only do they make New Trek, but they have shows on their stupid streaming platform that don't have all the episodes. They didn't have the first 14 episodes of season 1 on their stupid platform. I was stupid enough to get another subscription.
Remember when things had like 14, 16 episodes in a season? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, these people worked every week.
The first season of The Twilight Zone had like 36 episodes in it.
Yeah, and they worked. They kept hiring writers. They worked and worked and worked and worked. There was always work until the show ended.
Yeah, and that was really bad for Rod Serling and everything because he definitely didn't have a very long life, but it was very productive.
Have you seen like every scene you see him and he always has a cigarette in his hand? He used to smoke like 3 packs a day, I believe. Like he was a chimney. So by the time the 70s came and he ended up, I don't know if he died of cancer. I think he died. I think he had a heart attack in the 70s. It's crazy.
Yeah, so many people died of cancer from that era.
Yeah, well, that was back in the day when smoking was good for you. Still considered good for you. Doctors would smoke, Yeah,
look,
crazy.
Somebody made a mention that the Twilight Zone has a different vibe from what he did later with the Night Gallery.
I've never watched that show. What was it like?
I haven't watched it either.
It was 70s, and it was a lot more darker. He would introduce the show. He'd come out, and there'd be a painting, and he'd talk about the painting, or a sculpture, and they're all done by the same guy, but they all look like they're done by different people. And then it would go into a story written by Richard Matheson or H.P. Lovecraft. Quite a few of those were in there. And it was a little bit more darker, a little more sinister.
Yeah, it's interesting how really like Twilight Zone was just really a product of its time and how it's just never been able to be duplicated. Because I've seen the movie, the other stuff with it. It's just like nothing could capture like what the stories were doing. And I don't think people need to. And I don't think like you need to try to revitalize it. Yeah, I think the closest thing we've gotten is like we saw definitely how they kind of explored that in like Star Trek and like Black Mirror. But like even that, like even Black Mirror is like as good as it is, it's still a very like it's the same product of our time thing where it's like I'm not sure people like could in like 50 years watch it and say the same thing that we're saying because it's like, I mean, there's like some interesting themes there, but like, it's like everyone talks about that social credit episode. Like that is very specific to the time. Not that it's not relevant, but
yeah. But there are 2 episodes in particular that kind of speak to our time. Is the I think it's a girl that's turning 18 and she gets to pick her new body,
Oh yeah, that one.
Perfect body. Another one is a little old couple and they're going to get younger bodies and he does it first and then it's something she can't do it for some reason. So he changes back and they live happily ever after. It's a good one. But yeah, there's a lot of them like that. I was really surprised reading through them, all the different ones that speak to stuff going on right now, especially the cancel culture stuff.
Monsters on Maple Street, that's always going to be relevant. Always, always, always.
Yeah.
And this always had, even though it was filmed in Los Angeles, it still had this kind of this weird like New York feel.
I know it's because of the set. Like for a minute, I thought it was the Warner Brothers set because I did an internship there, and it was on the Warner Brothers lot, and they're like, yeah, like if you're not doing anything, just go and wander around because you can do that. And so I would a few times, and it's like they have built. It's so weird because it's like the set is like it's like they've built a little town there, but it's not exactly at like 1-to-1 scale. I think it's like 1/8 or like. Mm-hmm. It's just like 1/8 or like 1/9 or something scale. That's not what I mean. It's like it's just like slightly smaller, so it's like you wouldn't notice it on television, but like when you're in real life, it seems so uncanny, which is kind of weird. We went back to the first one because it's like you're looking at a set and you're thinking like you could just totally create somebody's reality like that and stuff like that. It's so weird.
Yeah.
I mean, like even the production, because like TV started in New York and then moved out the West Coast. This still feels kind of like a New York production for some reason, even though it's California. It doesn't scream like California every time you see a.
Yeah, it's weird too, because like I think this is before like really like there was the idea of like the production as like a stage play kind of a thing, so it still has that feel like a lot, and they hadn't really quite made the move to like adapting more cinematic things, but I think you could see it a lot in the like cinematography and the lighting that they did in the first episode. But I always think it's interesting to see that, because a lot of people, it's like you just gloss over it because we're so used to the modern language of filmmaking that people have now, and we're used to the language of filmmaking. It's like we know that it's like, we could see a little bit of one action and we could extrapolate like what happens in like in between that in the next scene or something like that. But you go way back, people didn't think the audience could make that leap, and they didn't trust the audience. And so like you look at like the Great Train Robbery, and they'd be like showing, okay, everyone on the train is getting robbed, because we have to show that everyone got robbed, because you couldn't like extrapolate from just showing one thing. And it's stuff like that that's so interesting to me, because it's like you're like, oh, that's the first time someone thought to do that. Like, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
Did y'all hear a weird noise?
Yeah.
That's what it. No, well, I have a half-grown rooster that's starting to crow. It's so funny.
I forgot you had chickens. Oh my god, what kind do you have?
Oh, I have a mixture. I have Aracanas and Easter eggers.
Oh my god, what Easter eggers do
I know.
What a black
the
Americana
green and blue eggs. That's so cool.
They're so pretty. I love them. I've bought some from a place, and I save the eggs. I just blew out the yolks and stuff because they're so pretty.
There's one that has feathers on her legs.
Oh, silky.
Yeah, silky. Yeah.
Murder chickens. Yeah, Shield Wall there. Yeah, he knows.
So you get an endless supply of eggs.
Yes. We had a we think it was raccoons. They got
they love eggs.
They got a few of our chickens.
Yeah, they love.
Yeah. They're
only time I see raccoons is in the dumpsters. Yeah, whenever I'm at work and I walk by the dumpsters, there's always raccoons just hanging out there.
Yeah.
They're mean.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And they're
possums,
They'll get on one side of the chicken bin and chase them all to one side where another one will get at them. So they're crafty little.
It's worse when they eat kittens. It's like, oh my god, it's like murderous little creatures.
And they have opposable thumbs too. So
yeah, that's even worse.
Everyone's like, I bet they're all like Rocket, right?
No.
When I think raccoons, believe it or not, I think of Mario.
Oh yeah,
fly and everything, the tail and everything.
Yeah, at least raccoons can't do that.
Or turn into statues, but that's Tanuki Super Mario.
Or walk on their hind legs and shoot at people with laser guns.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
When they're washing their little hands, they look evil as hell, though.
Yeah. Oh, that's so crazy.
Murder.
They wash their hands. Out, Spot. Out. So, are y'all ready to start winding down?
Oh yeah, totally. It's like it's getting kind of late here. I still have to do dinner. Like kind of messed up on my timing there.
Yeah, I gotta go eat something too. So, well, this was a great stream. I'm glad everybody got to come, and I'm glad I got to meet y'all in semi-person. Like,
well, thanks for having us. Thanks.
Thank you. It was fun to do and fun to talk about something good that we all like.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So let's go through the panel here. Blair, do you have anything you want to shout out or?
You can usually catch me on Thursdays with Roman of the Empire. I'm not going to be there this week. They're discussing graphic novels that changed to comics.
Ooh, cool.
And it's going to be a lot of Batman Killing Joke or Watchmen comics, things like that.
Okay.
But I'll be on next week. And then I believe later this month, I'm going to be with you, Jacob, and Roman. We're going to be talking about Star Trek.
Yeah, Star Trek 6,
later this month. Yes.
The
Nice.
undiscovered country.
When?
That's the 17th.
Weeks.
Isn't it?
Yeah, 2 weeks from now. Yeah.
So is he skipping the best one? He's skipping Final Frontier.
Well, we're doing it on Jacob's channel. I think we might visit number 5 on Roman's channel.
So.
But Wakasashi is going to be doing Highlander someday.
Ooh.
We're all pressed him into doing that.
There can only be one.
That's right.
Yeah, Star Trek 6 is my second favorite Star Trek movie. So if anybody's doing that, let me know.
What's your first one?
Man.
What's your first?
I don't know you, but I never forget a face.
Yes, I'm the same way. Those are my top two Star Treks.
Yeah, Roman actually does not like Star Trek 6, which is like, okay, we gotta make fun of Roman now for that.
Once more into the breach, old friends. That was that's the best scene in that movie where he's quoting Shakespeare.
Cry havoc, or let's slit the dogs of war.
And he's sitting around his
Bones,
chair.
And Bones says, "I'd give good money to make him shut up."
Bones, where's that damn torpedo? She's coming, Jim. Lock and load.
Fire. Lock onto that explosion and fire.
To be or
we
not.
need room to expand.
To be.
Oh, Hitler, 1939.
I beg your pardon. I love that movie. I love that movie.
Yes. What do you got coming up, Nerdporeal?
Okay, I got a few things. So tomorrow I'm doing nothing. It's gonna be beautiful because I'm gonna be able to maybe get some stuff to get some work done. Thursday is gonna be the continuation of my penance. I'm gonna be Nathan Manethrin is going to be hosting episode 6 of the greatest adaptation of all time, The Wheel of Prime. So we're going to be doing that. We might watch a second episode. We don't know yet, to be sure. But that's going to be on Thursday. So stay tuned for that.
That'll be fun.
Friday, I'm actually hosting a stream. This is something that was planned for a while. So me, Mags, and Pips are going to be doing a whiskey stream. We're going to be just drinking whiskey that Pips sent us
on Friday.
Some of the stuff that he keeps in his liquor cabinet, and we're going to try it. And Pips has said that he's like, I will definitely get drunk. So there might be some more Wheel of Prime bashing coming out of my mouth during that stream. So
how can
stay
you
tuned
resist?
For that.
It's such low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. So this all started because me and Pips on Discord were just talking about whiskey, and like he drinks it all the time. At one point, that used to be the only thing I would get from the bar because it was just something that you didn't do shots on. And I would just drink it really slowly. And plus, Scotty liked it in Star Trek, so I had to, that's why we're doing that. That's gonna be on Friday, like I think at 7 or 8 p.m. I think 7 p.m. Central. And Max is a big bourbon. She's a big bourbon connoisseur, so she kind of joined in too. So it's the three of us doing this. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. And then Sunday, I'm going to be doing my first Great Hunt stream for that, and Salty's going to be my guest on that one. And I'm reading chapter 7, but I'm on chapter 8 audio wise. So I tend to read and listen to the audiobook at the same time, and it's getting good. It's getting interesting, and I'm like I don't even know how I don't even know how like Wheel of Prime can even like they've skipped like some of the best stuff from Eye of the World. Like it's either like they're trying to save money or they're just so stupid, or they wasted it. They wasted
wanted
on
to
something
destroy
else.
Something beautiful.
Yeah, because I swear yesterday's episode felt like a for like a 55-minute therapy session where they just talk about their feelings and it doesn't drive the plot. It's all they're doing is padding it out.
Just wait till you go meet Step and
I think we met him yesterday.
the sad
5?
end of Steppin and Leia beats his chest and
no, he twists his nipples.
Oh, you got there. Okay. I try to remember. I try to forget that, but
yeah. But
well, I'm on my first read through of The Great Hunt, so I'm really enjoying it.
How far are you?
17, chapter 17.
All right, well, definitely come by for the if you're available.
Yeah,
definitely, if you're not doing anything, come by for the stream. They're usually a lot of fun, and just trying to think of who to bring on and how far I'm going to get. So hopefully, my plan is to get to chapter 12 of The Great Hunt before Sunday. So that's what I want to cover. So.
Cool.
And then I do these every other week. So every other week is going to be a Wheel of Time read stream. And the White Cloaks are evilly planning to proselytize my channel into a Wheel of Time channel. So or at least that came straightly out of the words of the horse's mouth himself, Pips. So there you go. But yeah, that's what's going on with me. Once again, Jacob, thanks for inviting me. This stream was a lot of fun.
Definitely.
And I did promote the hell out of you. That's why you got the turnout that you did. So
yeah, thank you very much.
We're all here for you, Jacob. That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, thank you. How about you, Lady Balefire? What do you got going on?
I am going to start doing live streaming, and I think I have my first one. Are you guys ready for this? This is because I decided to say hi to Shelby at one point in time, and we were talking about we need to do like a ladies' night, and she's like asking me like, "Hey, were you really good teenager? Like, did you like Lisa Frank and Spice Girls and all of this stuff?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, yes!" So I'll just see if Mags wants to jump in on this. If there's anyone out there that wants to come in, and we can just reminisce about the most amazing high school like movies, like for girls, and like just silly stuff like that. So I hope we have a good time. And like, I just want to talk because I love the Spice Girls.
Spice World.
I think one night we overtook like one of the chat like forums on the of White Cloaks Discord talking about how cool the Spice Girls were. And they're like, no, metal, like you gotta talk about like you gotta like metal. And I'm like, that's the funny thing that happened to me, like, is that I was a kid, I like classical music, and that's all I listened to for like a good, like at least a good year into my high school. And then I started listening to the Spice Girls. I thought it was like the coolest thing. And then eventually, I did totally get into metal and a bunch of other different music, but I think it's fun, and it's just always fun to just kind of like
Lisa Frank. That Lisa Frank. I remember that. Holy crap.
Yeah,
that was
like
everywhere.
Little, like puppies and like kittens and like hot pink.
Yeah. All the girls had that. All the girls had, at least one girl in my class always had something like that. When I was in grade school.
So it's like, I was like a total nerdy girl, but I had that side of me too. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Hopefully I have an idea to do like Wheel of Time videos too, but I want to talk to other Wheel of Time fans and see how they got into it and just do short videos like that. Kind of got inspired by how Salty did his Fire the Fandom videos, and I would just like to talk to it just because personally, like, I had a very like personal connection with Wheel of Time, and it helped me out when I was going through some tough stuff. So I'm gonna talk and see what other people have to do too. So new year, more content.
Cool. That's exciting for your first live stream. Oops. That's exciting.
Yeah, that's gonna be like really fun. So I'd have to make sure I plan it out and figure out how to do that. And
yeah, I jumped into the deep end when I started. It was the anniversary of Lord of the Rings, so I did a 2 or 3 hour live stream of that.
Oh my. It's pretty awesome. But thank you for having me, Jacob. It's always a pleasure seeing you in the chat. So
yeah. Now this is the first Tuesday of every month is going to be Twilight Zone. So
cool.
Y'all are welcome to come back if you want to. So
cool.
But yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank y'all for coming, and thanks to the chat for showing up. And the chat is what makes this show So
Mm-hmm.
thank y'all.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Stay
Yep.
Good night,
Nerdporeal.
guys.
Yep. Night, everybody. Sorry, no ending video. So
Oh.
here, let's see what I can put on. Maybe there's something I can put on. Here we go.
Spartans! What is your profession?
Oh crap, you found like one of my favorite movies.
That's the best.
I
Night,
love
everybody.
300. Oh my god.
Have a better one, guys.
Yep. And have a great New Year. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I am so hungry. I'm so sorry. Like
Me
I
too.
usually try to eat before I come on hand, but like I took a walk and I'm like, okay, I had an orange. I thought I'd be okay, but I'm just like shaking. So thanks again, and I'll see you guys around. Take care.
Yeah. I'll do one more video and then I'll end it.
Oh.
Bye, everybody.
Do you know why a ship floats and a stone cannot?
Huh? I don't know that.
You guys did good.